Have you ever been really deep into your favorite mobile game? You
Mhm.
know, feeling that amazing rush of progression, only to sort of hit a wall
Uh-huh.
where all those resources you carefully hoarded just feel useless?
Mm.
Or maybe you've had that brilliant idea for a new feature, a new game mode, and just wondered, does my feedback, my hopes, even my frustrations, do they ever actually reach the people building the game?
Yeah. Does anyone actually listen?
Exactly. Well, today, we are going to pull back the curtain on exactly that kind of interaction. We're doing a deep dive into an Ask Me Anything, an AMA session from March 2025.
Oh, okay.
It's where the developers of a really popular mobile game basically opened the floor to their community.
That sounds fascinating. So our mission here really is to unpack those raw, unfiltered questions coming right from the players,
Hmm.
and then look at the candid, sometimes kind of surprising responses straight from the game developers. It's such a unique window into that whole dynamic.
It really is.
The relationship between creators and their community. It can be collaborative, sometimes challenging, always interesting. It shows what players want right now, but also the strategic realities game development has to deal with.
Absolutely. So the big questions are, what do players really want when they get the developer's ear? What are the devs actually focusing on?
And how do they balance it all?
Right. How do they balance those desires with the practical side of running a live game? And maybe most importantly, what can we learn about the whole business of mobile gaming from these really open conversations? Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So when players finally get that chance at open mic, what's one of the first things they bring up?
Well, digging into the questions, a clear theme popped up pretty fast.
Let me guess. Resources. Progression.
You got it. The basics, right? How you manage your stuff, how you feel you're moving forward. It seems a lot of players, especially the ones who've been around a while, hit this weird problem.
We saw comments about max players who'd piled up like billions of coins and millions of cards, but had no real way to spend them, just sitting there.
The rich player problem. It's actually a common dilemma in games that go on for a long time. It's not just a bug, it's like the core reward loop breaks down.
Right.
Because if players don't see a point to their wealth, their motivation can just poof, disappear. It really highlights that constant challenge for developers. How do you keep the carrot dangling for your most dedicated players?
And it leads to practical suggestions too. One player, maybe feeling that overflow, actually suggested a storage building for cards and coins.
Oh, interesting, like a virtual vault.
Yeah, just to avoid those really cumbersome open all animations when you get a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's clever, right? Addressing a symptom, even if the root cause is, well, nothing due to spend it on.
It's a quality of life fix masking a deeper content need, perhaps.
But then, on the other side of that progression coin, you've got players like Nacho. They seem to thrive on the grind. They mentioned their favorite feature was something called Immortal Tiers. Sounds like a competitive ladder, maybe.
Mm.
Because it keeps me grinding like a mad person. That's a huge motivator for some people.
Oh, definitely. That desire for ongoing competition, it drives a lot of engagement. But that raises a really important question too. How do you keep that grind, that competition feeling fresh without totally ticking off the long-term players who've already hit the top?
Good point.
Because one of the developers, Jerry, actually floated the idea of an annual reset for those immortal tiers.
Yes. There we go.
The idea being, refresh the competition, let people earn new visual badges. But you can see how that might be controversial, right? For players who spent ages getting to the top already.
Yeah, you want me to do it all again?
Exactly. It's such a delicate balance between keeping things exciting and respecting player investment. Retention versus competitive integrity.
So from those big picture progression issues, the conversation also zooms right into the nitty-gritty, the actual combat mechanics.
Yep, the gameplay loop itself.
And it sounds like in this game, defensive structures, maybe like a tower defense thing, or a hot topic. There was a lot of feedback saying the machine gun tower is just too weak, needs a buff, needs more power.
Right, seeing that pop up quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then there was a related question about another tower, the reinforced tower, and how its energy works. Players seemed confused if its temporary shields just vanish now.
Little specific mechanical questions that really matter when you're playing.
And this all ties into a bigger design challenge, which is how difficulty scales in the game.
Okay.
Several players specifically wanted the enemy tower levels to be linked to the player's tower level, not the enemy mob level.
Makes sense from a player perspective, maybe. Feels fairer.
Possibly, but then a developer, Funambulist, countered that, argues basically Your mob destroys the enemy tower, so it makes sense to scale it around the mob level.
Oh,
And that really highlights this fundamental disagreement, or at least different perspectives on design philosophy. It's fascinating, really. How do you scale difficulty so it feels fair and challenging? Do you base it on the player's power or the enemy's power? There's no single right answer.
it really is a classic game design puzzle. And speaking of battles, there was also this debate about single-stage battles versus bringing back two-stage battles.
Right, the length and structure of encounters.
Seems like some players preferred the quicker single stage, saying it was more than enough, while others kind of missed the maybe deeper strategy or just the longer playtime of two stages.
Yeah, it shows how personal preferences can be. Often depends on how much time you actually want to sink into one match, right?
Totally. So, moving beyond the core gameplay loop, quality of life stuff, always big in AMAs.
Oh, yeah, the little things that make the experience smoother or rougher.
Exactly. Players are always looking for convenience, like there were requests for Google Login for iOS owners, for backups, cross-platform play.
The usual suspects for mobile games. Makes sense.
Yeah, and similarly, Apple users wanting to upload custom profile pics. But unfortunately for them, developer Nacho replied that the Google Login thing at least is not in our plans at the moment.
Ooh, and that just reveals the reality, right? Prioritization, you can't do everything. Development resources are finite.
True. And sometimes the issues are way more specific, like technical bugs.
Always some bugs.
A player named Skylar pointed out that the star scream sound effects sounds like a specific character or unit weren't working right when it fired its cannon.
Ah, an audio bug? Seems minor, maybe, but sound is huge for immersion if you're used to hearing that pew pew and it's gone.
It feels wrong.
Yeah.
And a developer actually gave really practical advice for this. Just record it, post it to the tech issues channel.
Which is great. It shows a clear path for reporting bugs effectively. That kind of transparency and guidance, it manages expectations and helps them actually get the info they need to fix it.
Definitely. But what I found really illuminating was when one developer, Funambulist again, just straight up asked the community, what are your pain points? What do you absolutely dislike?
Whoa, brave question. Opening the floodgates.
Totally. And it got some really candid responses, things like no time to sleep.
Okay, that suggests the game might be pretty demanding. Maybe too demanding.
Could be. Or requires constant check-ins. Others complained. Predictably, ads are too long.
The classic mobile game complaint.
Yep, lagging issues. And a really specific one about event timing. Event times seem to be US-based. I miss a lot because I'm asleep in the UK.
The global audience problem. That's a tough one. Time zones are tricky.
They really are.
But that whole section, it's not just gripes, is it? It's like a masterclass in market segmentation and trying to figure out priorities. Developers have to sift through all this from different player types, the grinders, the casuals, people across the globe. The challenge isn't just what to fix, but like, who do you fix it for first? How does that choice impact everyone else? And importantly, how does it impact the money side? It raises that big question. How do they prioritize with such diverse, sometimes conflicting feedback, especially balancing global needs with limited resources?
That's a perfect segue, actually, into the developer side of things,
Well-
because they did talk about what they are working on, their reasons, what's coming next.
Okay, so what's the good news?
Well, it wasn't all no, or maybe later. Right off the bat, some positive updates. That machine gun tower everyone said was too weak,
Yeah.
a buff is coming.
Yeah.
Confirmed. Which should make those players happy. And that reinforced tower that was confusing people, it's getting clarified. It will have an extra energy shield when energy is available.
Direct responses to feedback. Good to see. Shows the loop works, sometimes quickly.
Exactly. It shows they are listening, at least on some things.
And what about bigger features? Anything long-term discussed?
Yes. Another developer, Nexus One, talked about something that sounds like it comes up a lot. A multiplayer type of thing. Co-op or head-to-head battles.
Ooh, proper multiplayer. That's often requested.
Apparently, it's been on our minds since the beginning. But Nexus One also added some important context.
yes.
That it would likely be too intense if all regular battles are in real time against other players. They see it more for special moments.
That's insightful. Real-time PvP is complex. Lag, balance, matchmaking time. It can be overwhelming if it's the only way to play. So making it special events makes sense. It shows they're thinking about the player experience, not just ticking a feature box.
Right, thinking about the long-term health of the game and player enjoyment. And speaking of future stuff, there was exciting news about card exchange.
Ah, trading.
Well,
Yep.
exchanging within your clan anyway. It's not here yet. But developer Suro confirmed that in the future, you'll be able to do this with your clan members.
Okay, so deepening the social clan-based features. That's a common way to boost engagement.
Definitely seems like it. Connects to the whole clan system players were asking about.
And developers love to tease things too, right? Build some hype.
Oh, absolutely. Nexus 1 did just that. Dropped a fun teaser asking players, what do you think is born when this egg hatches?
Haha, classic. What did people guess?
All sorts. From mini normies to a kitten of new champ, I bet. Even Mobzilla or a flame-spewing dragon. All over the place.
Love it. That's a great way to engage the community, get them talking, speculating about new champions or maybe new enemy types. Keeps people invested in what's coming next.
Those teasers definitely work. But okay, let's pivot slightly to the less shiny stuff. The business realities, the development constraints that often drive these decisions.
Right, the why we can't have everything nice part.
Pretty much. A common question was about a PC version of this mobile game.
Always comes up if a mobile game gets popular enough.
And the answer from developer Herso was very direct. Not for now.
Yeah.
The reason. Our biggest audience is on mobile, and publishing on PC would be a distraction for our small team.
And that's critical context. Small team, limited resources, they have to focus where their players actually are, where the return on investment makes sense. Can't chase every platform.
It's a practical reality.
And that practicality ties right into money, doesn't it? I saw a discussion about VIP membership pricing.
Yeah, a player felt the VIP gold price was too high compared to, say, buying a full PC game.
Which, on the surface, you might understand, but mobile is different.
Exactly what Orso explained. Said something like, these are totally different types of games and different business models. And crucially, I don't think we can significantly reduce prices and keep our business running as it is today.
And that really underscores the balancing act for mobile devs, especially free-to-play ones. They rely on a small fraction of players spending money or ad revenue to keep the lights on and the updates coming for everyone. It's not like a one-time purchase model. Every price point has to support ongoing development.
It's about sustainability. And speaking of revenue streams, someone asked how much money they make when players watch an ad.
Oh, direct question. What was the answer?
Very succinct. From Funambulist. Enough to keep us going.
Huh. Honest, if not specific. But it tells you ads are essential to their survival.
Clearly. And another reality check came with bots. Players often hate bots, want real opponents only.
Yeah, you see that sentiment a lot. People want that human challenge.
But developer Jerry explained that bots are basically a necessary thing to have to not make the matchmaking time too long.
The speed versus purity trade-off. If you strip out bots entirely, especially in off-peak hours or lower tiers, players could be waiting ages for a match, which kills the experience too.
Exactly. So even if some players want bots gone from certain modes, the devs are prioritizing keeping matches flowing quickly for the player base as a whole.
It's all these interconnected decisions, isn't it? Fascinating stuff. But it wasn't all just about game mechanics and business, was it? There were some more personal interactions too.
There were, which was really nice to see.
Yeah, it helps humanize the whole process, makes players feel heard, connects them to the people behind the screen.
Totally. Like we saw a developer asking players what their favorite feature was, just turning the tables.
I touch.
And maybe the most striking one, a player named Biotoxic1 actually asked a developer about their mental well-being.
Really? Like, how are you doing?
Yeah, asking if they were doing mentally, are you in good spirits, are you healthy, everything going well, just checking in on them as a person.
Wow. That's actually lovely. In this often anonymous digital space, that's a real human connection. It shows the community cares about the devs too, not just the game. It really shifts the dynamic, doesn't it? From purely transactional to, well, more of a community.
It really does. So, okay, bringing this all together, what an incredibly eye-opening deep dive, pulling back that curtain. We've seen players passionately asking for things, right? From quality of life tweaks like inventory management and logins to game balance changes for towers, even whole new modes.
And on the flip side, we've heard the developers explaining their plans, sometimes confirming changes, sometimes explaining limitations, sharing their vision, and often grounding it in the realities of running a small team, needing a sustainable business model.
Yeah.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, these AMAs, these direct conversations, they're so much more than just Q&A. They are this vital, unfiltered feedback loop. They really light up that continuous dynamic conversation happening between players and creators. It just vividly shows how game development is this constant juggling act, weighing what players want now against what's feasible, what makes business sense, and what the long-term vision for the game actually is. It's this delicate dance, you know? Listening and leading, every decision has ripples.
Absolutely. So what does this all mean for you, the player listening to this? It really raises an important question, doesn't it? How much influence do players truly have in shaping the games they pour hours into? And faced with, billions of coins worth of suggestions and endless feedback threads, how do developers decide which voices, which pain points, which brilliant ideas to prioritize?
That's definitely something to mull over next time you jump into a game. And maybe think about how your own feedback, your own desires fit into that massive, complex puzzle developers are trying to solve every single day.